Hello, this is Pierre-André Mathieu, and I have to say a few things before I start with this video. I was going to continue with the dynamic action capability system in which I showed in my previous tutorial, but then, as I worked on that project, I come across a few issues, one being the jump orientation and the attack orientation. I tried working on it and it was very difficult. So I took a lot of deep thought about it and decided to go back to the drawing board, but not in the way you imagine. The drawing board in particular is a blueprint in which I posted on Patreon page and brought it on Mediafire. I'm not sure if any of you are aware, but I recently posted a Patreon page in bringing a Barebones version of a Devil May Cry style blueprint for your Unreal Engine project. I say it's bare bones because it doesn't have all the effects and animations and whatnot. I left them bare bones because the animations and effects is something you have to add on your own. As for the costing, well, it's not that much. You can just easily afford it. No biggie. And for those of you who purchase it, that's good. And for those of you who needed another way to get this, you can get it on Mediafire. The link is within the description down below. That being said, it's time to get this tutorial started. Okay, the first thing you should do now that you have your file downloaded and saved to hard drive, flash drive, or whatever storage you currently have, you should click this, then extract all. And once you've done that, what you need to do is click on the extract button. And once you click on it, it's going to load a bunch of stuff. After the loading is completed, the file right there is going to say the same thing as this one right here. With that, double click to open, and then open character action. It's going to load for a few seconds or so, depending on the situation. Okay, Now that the project is open, the first thing you need to do is go to Content Browser, then and as you can see here, select this folder, right click, then migrate. See here, it basically comes with everything. So I'm going to discard those because that's not exactly important. Everything else here is fine. So click OK. Then I'm going to click, then select this folder because the content is where your migrated folder is going to be. So click that and select the folder. It's going to take less than a minute to save these packages onto your new project. Alright, now that I'm in my new project, I'm going to go to Content Browser to show you where this folder has been migrated. Now that I have that, the first thing I'm going to do is open this, go to Blueprint. I'm gonna go to Game Mode folder, then drag this to Game Mode Override. Then I'm gonna go to this folder and erase these two because not going to need it. I'm going to use the same one I drag to the Game Mode Override, then save. And before I do that, I'm gonna have to show you something. Okay. This is in need of a skeleton. So what I'm going to do is find a skeleton, actually assign skeleton, open it. It has all of these. It's missing something, so I'm going to connect it to output. I'm sorry, output pose. This blueprint is missing a lot of things, but I'll get to that later. I'm gonna open character blueprint. Get rid of those. Well, this in particular. Then I'll add a new mesh. Which is this one. Not sure if this is compatible, but or better yet, yeah, just making sure. For the player character, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, except I'm going to add a new character called Stylized Ninja. You can get that in the Fab Marketplace. Just type in the word Stylized Ninja and purchase it. The link for this is within the description down below. Anyway, I'm going to add this to my new project. Then I'm going to move this to the characters. Gonna open it and delete this one because I'm not gonna need it. too. I'll delete the rest of these except those two. I'll use these poses when I make a main menu screen, but for now it's one shoe in front of the other. As for skeletons, I don't really like this, so I'm gonna go to meshes, then select the ninja full body, create a skeleton out of this, then drag this to the skeleton folder, rename, then use this. I'm going to delete that and paste it right here, because that's exactly what I'm going to be needing. Now let's go back. I'm going to go back to the player blueprint. I'm going to assign this to a new skeleton, and that's the one that I created. Again, I will address these sequences later. For now, I'll have to delete this one too. Then I'll replace it with a new skeleton. There we go. I'm gonna see if it works. Yeah, I have that. What I don't have are the animations that come along with it, because, as I said, they're simply bare bones. So despite the errors, it still works. for the enemy character, I'm going to do the same as I did with the template and player. This time, rather than using the mannequin, I'm going to use what's called an Undead Shinobi. Which is this. I got it from a friend of mine on Discord. I'm not gonna mention his name. And needless to say, it is very fitting. Now that I have that, I'm going to move this folder to characters folder. Now that I have this, I'm gonna delete this one because I don't need it anymore. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna go to enemy, right click this to assign to a skeleton. It is very confusing, so I'll have to open characters, yeah, I'm gonna have to list it just to make things much simpler. So I'm going to rename, then Control C to copy this text, and after that I'm going to go to character action file, third person, blueprint, and character folder. I'm going to click on enemy, then click on the animation blueprint of it to assign this to Undead Shinobi skeleton. I'm gonna click that and accept. Double click. It has that too. I'm going to apply this to asset, then copy, open enemy type, and replace that with this new skeleton. Now that I have that, I'm going to insert this onto third person map, then play it, and let's see how it works. Yep, it does work. For the player animations, I'm going to be adding new animations for the player animation blueprint, and I'm going to be using this one, the Great Sword animation set from Weapons Master. To be more specific, I'm only going to add in movement and jump animations, not the attack animations. And for the enemy, I'm going to add close combat animation set. In the meantime, I'll be adding a new structure. I'm gonna call this F Locomotion Data. Open it and change this to an animation sequence. Gotta rename it idle or standby. I'm gonna rename it walk start. Walk loop and walk end. For this one, I'm gonna rename it run start. Run loop. And run end. This one will be jump loop. This one will be start lock on. I'll change this to a blend space. Name it lock on. I'm going to name this one stop lock on. that. Actually, I'll rename this to player locomotion data because that's exactly what I'm going to be using for the player. With the player locomotion data structure implemented, I'm going to open the player character animation blueprint. I'm going to add a new variable called player locomotion data. Then I'm going to search for it. As you can see here, it has nothing for now. So I'm going to press one of the sequence player. This is where the idle animation comes in. So what I'm gonna do is basically the same with all other sequence players. I'm going to expose as a pin, then add get player locomotion data. I'm going to break this and link the node from idle to the sequence player. It's not that much to it. I'm going to do the same thing with, as I said, all the other sequence players. So I'm going to copy this, hide this one because I only need one. There we go. With the player locomotion data implemented within the player character blueprint, I can now add animations to it. And just so you know, I decided to add the animations I currently have since the Epic Games is taking too long to load the assets that I'm expecting, that being Great Sword M set and Close Combat set. So I decided to forget about it and use what I have as of now. Anyway, I'm going to click player locomotion data, search for idle, and drag it right here. And search walk start. Well, walk, apparently. Then run. Jump. Let's see how it works. As you can see, the skeleton is kind of funny. I'm going to fix that by going to the skeleton. I'm going to select all of them and set it to skeleton. Now it's not as awkward as before. Looks pretty fine to me. The only thing that's missing is the lock on. Alright, I'm going to create a new folder and name it Anim Blend Space. Then click. And create a blend space based on this skeleton here. Horizontal, I'm gonna name it right. Vertical, I'm gonna name it forward. Minus that. This. To insert my new lock on, compile and save, and let's see. Yep, works fine. Alright, I developed a locomotion system similar to the player locomotion, but different. This blend space is about moving forward from idle position, walk to running position. This one is for the enemy to start lock on. This one is for the enemy to lock on to the player. This one is for the enemy to stop locking on. This one is used for when the enemy is in mid-air, and this one is when the enemy flinches. I added this on the structure within the blueprints. How I added? I simply go to blueprint, structure, then rename it like this. Now that I have that, I'm going to go to enemy blueprint, add a variable, and then call it enemy locomotion. Now I'm going to expose pin. Oh, I forgot. There we go. now that I add the enemy locomotion data, I'm going to add new animations, but first add a new animation blend space. There we go. That as a placeholder for now. go. Now I'm going to add this back and see what I have here. There we go. That's pretty much everything I have here. For the next video, I'm going to show you how I've built everything up until here. I was going to continue with the dynamic action capability system from my previous videos, but then as I work on that blueprint I've been working on using that system, I ran into complications as to orient the player's jump and the player's attack, and it was difficult. So I decided to use my old blueprint, in which I've made 3 years ago, migrated onto this new project, in which I did. So yeah, for the next video, I'm going to show you how this whole lock-on system works. Hard lock-on and soft lock-on. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for future tutorials like this. And don't forget to check the link for this type of blueprint for migrating onto your new project. The 2 links for this are within the description down below. And do keep in mind that what you take and learn from me is yours to do with as you see fit. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your day.